Hey everybody, welcome to We Run on Reruns. I'm Amanda and I'm here with my brother Eric.
How's it going, everybody? We are here with our Stranger Things podcast, going through what is essentially now the middle of season 4. We are season 4, episode 4, chapter 4, Dear Billy today. We are coming off some really good episodes. I will say, and I've said it before, I always remember season 4 starting really slow. I feel like season 4 has started with so much more of a bang than I remember it starting with. And I'm really excited to see where we keep going with this one. And I'm excited to hear your opinions on this one today, Amanda.
Yeah, this was a very good episode. I know last week my rating dipped a little bit, although I've really enjoyed the first 3 episodes of this season a lot. But this one really spiked again for me. So much is going on with all of the characters, and for the last 3 episodes, one thing that we were just talking about before we started recording is we had things broken up into these 5 separate storylines, and now little by little we're tightening things up because today we really just have 4 separate storylines, which really just makes it that much more exciting, I think, when everything is just jam-packed into 4 streamlines, 4 wave lines instead of the 5. So we're narrowing the focus.
Yeah,
right?
we lose all of the storyline largely with Lucas and the basketball team, and we gain that in extra time being spent on these other storylines that we do care a lot about. And that only helps.
Yeah. And, I do have several pieces of trivia that we'll touch on at the end of the episode, but one of them that I'll just hit on right away is the fact that this episode does not feature Billy. Oh, I'm sorry. Does not feature does not feature Eddie at all. And for some reason, their names always get mixed up in my mind. I always cross. Anyway, yes, Eddie, we know that he is hiding out in that shed. At least we assume that's still where he is not in this episode at all. And this is the only episode this whole season where he's not featured. So I just thought that was interesting.
Well, not only is he not featured, but 11 is not featured. And we have only had one episode before this where 11 was not seen at all. And we had one episode in season 2 where she was not seen until the very end.
Yes.
But this is very different for a Stranger Things episode. And yet at this point, they've developed such a significant cast that, you almost don't miss it. When a main character isn't around as much because there's enough other main characters carrying the heavy lifting.
Yeah, that's such a great point because in the prior episode where 11 wasn't in it at all, it was notable. This just wasn't as good because she wasn't featured. And here we get that heightened sense of we don't know where she is. And they also don't really know where she is either. We're just part of their mentality more so. I feel like we're in it with Will and Mike and Jonathan, where they're in this panic because they want to know where she is and don't. And we kind of have the same level of blinders on to an extent, which is cool.
And in this episode, unlike the other ones, we have a much more developed Max character than we did when 11 wasn't there. We have Robin as well now in the fold, and she plays a big part in this episode. And there are a number of other characters that kind of come in and come out. Murray plays a big part in this episode when he wasn't really around in those episodes before. So there are other characters that we as a fan base, I believe, have grown to know and love. And when you miss out on having an 11 around or an Eddie around or even both of them around, it's okay to me.
Yeah. I would agree with that. Well, Eric, just as a reminder of where we left things off in the last episode of Stranger Things, we had Joyce and Murray arriving in Alaska, and Hopper is trying to prepare for his escape. We had Lucas leading the basketball team to Hopper's cabin and ditching them there. We also saw Nancy and Robin going to the library to learn about Victor Creel and finding an article about his history. Then we saw Max, Dustin, and Steve breaking into the counselor's files at the school. And finally, 11 was also arrested and later handed off to Dr. Owens because he believes that she might be their only hope in defeating this evil force that's taking over Hawkins. And in this episode, Chapter 4, Dear Billy, which I'll just mention, this episode is an hour and 20 minutes long. These are long episodes this season, Eric. I know you pointed that out in one of our last podcasts, but it's notable.
Well,
I mean, these are, it almost feels like 2 episodes packed in.
Well, that's the thing. For the first 3 seasons of us doing this podcast, almost every episode was just under an hour, and that was very easy to do in the podcast and the time that we had. But now we are getting into hour and a half, hour 45. So forgive us if we maybe skip through little pieces here and there, but we're going to try to compartmentalize all the stories, as Amanda was saying earlier, to try and give a good picture of what's going on.
Yeah. And I mean, we kick things off with what I was referring to is that state of panic of the boys wanting to know where 11 is. Mike in particular is just like really, really upset that these officers, like I'll just refer to them as officers, but they're the government.
Agents of some kind.
Yeah, they're part of the same department that Dr. Owens is with. And they know where 11 is, but they don't want to tell them really for their own safety, because the less people that know, the safer she is, the safer their project is, big picture here, that's how they're looking at it. So they've now stationed these security folks to stay at the buyer's house with them. But that's really all the information they're giving them. But then at the end of this whole debate going back and forth where they want to know where 11 is, Eric, I found it funny that then they're handing them this letter from 11. And it's like, you should have started there. Like, here's the letter from 11. This is, I mean, not that it said much really, but.
No, that's the thing. Ultimately, what would it have done? I don't know. I'm okay with the order that it went, telling them all about it and then handing them the letter, because then after you hear all this, you kind of get that Mike gets a letter that's trying to ease the idea, but she doesn't exactly do a whole lot with it. And in fact, she drops the from L on the bottom of it, which is like, God. Okay.
I love the teenage angst is still coming through, even in this brief letter. Mike, I've gone to become a superhero again from L. Wow.
That's a heavy from right there.
Yeah, that's all it says. There is a great deal of letter writing in this episode, but Max is she puts a lot more thought and a lot more attention to detail in hers. I would say 11 is just like, you know what, Mike, this is what's happening. This is where we're at, and I'm not gonna say I love you. Boom.
Well, listen, 11. If nothing else, 11 last we saw basically felt like she was an outcast among society. And this is her ticket to being known, being recognized, being something that she can, functionally do, and understanding her role. And so she's going to take it. And I don't blame her.
No, it's
but
the
then
right
Mike doesn't have to understand that. He can, but he doesn't have to.
No, and I think this also gives an opportunity, which we'll see, for him and Will to just reconnect again as well, because Mike has been just obsessed with just trying to reconnect with 11, obviously, although not really showing it, as we've kind of talked about before. He has a very strange way of showing it. But
that's really the next thing that we see. The two of them like reconnecting here. Trying to, mend fences. And I will say it felt like a pretty abrupt character shift for Mike. Like all of a sudden 11 is no longer around. So his pivot to being very apologetic to Will is notable. And I question whether that would have come if she was still around.
Yeah, probably not, because his focus still would have been on her. And this felt very true to form for teenage years, I would say, though. Very fickle absolutely. In the nature of where all the attention is drawn. And I appreciated that. And also, you could see that Will is really happy to be reconnecting with Mike in this way. We don't want to jump too far ahead in the storyline here, but obviously I think like they have different things in mind when they're having this conversation. But at least they're reconnecting, and I think that smoothing things over is great. But they're also talking about, like, listen, we don't know who these people are. Why are we supposed to trust them? Which is sort of what Mike said directly to that woman in the beginning. Like, and we're just supposed to trust that you have our best interest in heart. Like, when has trusting anyone outside of their group ever gone well for them? So
no,
they're realizing,
and the fact that there are other people coming in saying, we know how to do this better than you, when they're the ones who have done all the heavy lifting for years.
That's right.
It does not sit well.
Yeah.
And so, so Jonathan comes up with a little plan, though.
Yeah, because it wasn't Dr. Owens that saved us. It was you, like he's reminding Will of that too. It's like that. Right. That's what got us through. And yeah, Jonathan agrees. He's kind of busting in saying, I have a plan, because he saw the little pizza delivery tag on the fridge and is thinking, hey, Argyle has a vehicle. Let's bust out of here. Right. And they did that just in the nick of time. I mean, the timing of all of this was perfect.
Yeah, so they call for the pizza's on its way or whatever, and then we get this amazing sequence. And let me just say, as soon as this episode started, I was like, oh, this is the episode with the shootout. And so I had to go online. I sent you, Amanda, the behind the scenes footage on this, where, if you didn't notice, this whole shootout with the boys in the buyer's house with the agents and the people that are coming to get them, this all transpires with no cuts to the camera. Everything is one shot. Everything is just one camera panning around as it's like part of the action. And the director was talking about how complex this was, where essentially, if anybody made any mistake, if any actor, if the cameraman, if the lighting, if whatever, if anything was off a little bit, they had to basically redo the entire thing, because you weren't going to do cuts. You wanted this whole thing to feel like you were part of the action as someone who was watching it. And I'll tell you what, it works, because you definitely feel part of the panic in this situation where they are trying to escape the house. And it is very well done, and it is one of my favorite scenes in Stranger Things. And it gets forgotten, I think, when you think of the lore of all the scenes that happen in Stranger Things, but it is so fun to watch.
It is, and you feel the panic. You're right. It's like, I love that you're just following around the camera because you feel like you're in the moment with them, kind of looking out from behind walls, seeing other shooters come in, you're seeing the military. And I'm thinking, Eric, so the one part, because I knew what was coming, when the security guy is going up to the door, dude doesn't even look through the peephole. Like, he doesn't even
not a very
think
good security
to take
guy.
a glance.
Listen, these guys,
okay.
we're talking about these agents are sitting in the living room watching golf, like not doing anything. Like these are not exactly super protective guys. Although I will say the one guy who does survive, he does a lot of work. He's good.
He's good. Oh yeah.
Yeah, keep him around. But the idea of this whole thing going down and then you basically seeing this from the camera's eyes. So you're like up the stairs, down the stairs, back up, around one side of the wall, back on the other side of the wall, just kind of staying behind the agent the whole time too. Like it's like you're running out of here with the Byers boys and Mike. Oh. And it was very well done. It's one of my favorites, like I said. I'm very very excited to see it each time it comes up.
And I also loved, like, because Eric, I know we both were huge fans of last season, that scene with the Neverending Story song.
Of course.
Where you get that split between the super intense, terrifying moment and then the really like sweet and like the music playing in the background and this very like joyful moment between Dustin and Susie, and that dichotomy between those two emotions. And here you have this crazy shootout, and then they pan to Argyle with, I don't know what that song is that he's listening to, but I will forever link that to Stranger Things. I don't think I'd ever heard of it before. This show,
but
maybe I have. I don't know. Now I only link it to the show, but oh my God, it's so
to me,
funny.
the funny thing is Argyle rocking up to the house with the pizza delivery truck and being like, oh man, they parked in the driveway. They're always in the driveway. Meanwhile, it's like two SUVs, all doors wide open. Like this is, something's gone down here. And he's not making that connection. He's just like, oh, they're in the driveway.
And then you just get Jonathan just like appearing out of nowhere, slamming on the window like, let us in. And he like slides the van door open, and Argyle's just like, is that blood? Because he's looking at the other security guy.
Does that guy have a gun over there? Drive!
Yeah, this is like Hopper screaming at Joyce to drive, except luckily Argyle still had the keys in the ignition. Yeah. And they are off in the most, the least inconspicuous, I will say, vehicle ever. So,
yeah,
this is great. Although I guess you wouldn't suspect a getaway vehicle to be a pizza van, so maybe it still is a good call. I don't know.
I would not expect it, but at the same time, if they're like radioing out, hey, it's this type of car. There's only so many of them out on the streets.
I was actually a little bit surprised that military guy didn't start shooting at the van. Like he was just kind of walking up from a distance with a giant gun. Yeah.
Well,
but I guess I don't know.
Listen, these are the things that make the movie / TV show really good, right? Like you can't do the logical thing is to shoot out all the tires on that van immediately. And my immediate instinct is to say, oh, well, maybe he doesn't want to shoot the gun out in public because then it draws attention. You've already had a shootout in the house. The neighbors are all aware of what's going down. Okay. So
in the middle of the day. Yeah.
I think we're past that. You can shoot the wheels out.
Yeah.
But here we are and they get away.
Yeah. I'm also curious, like, we must find out more, right, about what went down there. Like, what? They were just showing up to kill all these people?
Well, yeah. Like,
I mean, do we learn more about what? Because I'm thinking, like, what was like, they were just there to kill them? The military just showed up and they're like,
this is my understanding. They've been given the warning that 11 is in clear danger and all of their friends in Hawkins are in danger as well. If they find out about this, they are also connected to 11. So therefore they are also in danger. Like, I don't know that they were going to go in there to kill the kids, but I think they were going to take them and find out whatever information they could. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're shooting at the agents, not shooting at the kids.
Kill the agents and take the
kids. That would be my thought
it's
process.
like, okay.
Because you're trying to get information because you want to get to L. That's the whole thing. If you just kill everybody in there, there's no purpose to that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because the guys who were watching them were the ones that foiled their initial plan, and they took 11 from the van, so they're probably thinking, well, we're just gonna kill you guys and take the kids now. Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, this scene is fantastic. It is such a great moment.
And let's jump over to Hopper now, where the Hopper, Joyce, Murray, Yuri storyline here, really, where Joyce is actually starting this, trying to call home and getting a busy signal. And I believe the busy signal is because the agents have basically disconnected all the phones. So you can't get in. And so she's trying to figure it out. Yeah. And I do love Murray's line here where he's talking about, listen, there are things you can be late for in life. A ransom exchange is not one of them. Okay, let's go.
No.
Let's not wait on this phone call. We got to go now. And it's like, yeah. You know
love
what, Murray? I'm
Cracked
with you.
Up. Yeah, you don't want to be late for that you've come all this way. This is not the time to obsess over the busy phone. Joyce, if you really wanted them to be in the know, you should have told them before you left. So this is tough, but I do get why she's panicked hearing a busy signal at home for a long time. But they have to get out of there. And we also see Hopper, who is, to me, I'm watching him walk with the shackles around his ankles, and he's sure doing a great job faking it that he has this shattered foot, because he's still, he is just kind of shuffling along. He doesn't have well,
it's not necessarily shattered. It's just broken enough. It could be shattered.
I don't know what else you'd call it with a hammer, being slammed into your ankle.
It's not in good shape. That's for sure.
Oh, the sound effects too that you get as he's trying to take the shackle off. Oh God, so gross. But yeah, Enzo is basically telling him, I give you 100-to-1 odds of escaping. This is not going to happen. And I like how Hopper is still just focusing on the fact that Joyce is not his woman. Hopper, okay, calm down.
You don't have to prove that to Enzo.
No. Enzo doesn't even know what's going on.
No, and Enzo, you're trying to prove this to a guy who does not matter. And this is a guy who's now received $40,000 or, is in line to receive a huge chunk of money for letting you escape. He doesn't care if that's your girlfriend or not. Mm-mm. She's paying up, so she must be something.
Yeah.
So they've got that.
See Joyce and we also seeing Joyce. We're seeing Joyce and Murray arriving at this. It's sort of a garage.
I'm gonna call it an airplane hangar.
Thank you, an airplane hangar. And this guy comes out of one of the planes saying, "Oh, sorry, Yuri got taken out by a bear. It pulled him out of the plane, and yeah, he's gone now." But then he starts cracking up because that was his idea of a joke. This is Yuri. And he loves the smell of cash in the morning, which is very much I love the smell of napalm in the morning is the line that it made me think of. So,
of course.
Yeah. Apocalypse Now, I think, right?
I think so. But he's gonna spend some time here counting the money. And so he says, hey, why don't you guys go get a cup of coffee while I count this? And he sits there and counts out $40,000. And in all honesty, what do you got to count it, right? Now, I know people have, I've seen counting machines and all this, but he doesn't have any of that set up. He's doing this one by one.
Not in this hanger.
No, one by one with the hand.
Yeah.
But he gets there. But we do see Hopper then, after his, he's gotten through the security area or gotten past the guy who's checking the chains, and then he's out doing his hammering on the whatever it is, like a railroad of some kind. And this is where he's going to make his great escape. So
this scene, I found this to be both hilarious and really intriguing, exciting, all the good things. I just found it really funny though too at the very end.
There were so many moments throughout this that I felt were wildly unrealistic, but also yes. It was still fun to watch. Like I'm here for the whole thing. So
good.
In short, Hopper breaks his tool on purpose and then walks over to the shed to go get a new one. And the guard there is like, hey, hold on. You stay there. I'll get you a new tool. And he goes into the shed. And Hopper obviously does not stay there. He goes into the shed with him and like whacks him with his broken tool to knock the guy out.
Yeah.
No, he hits him with his tool stick first because he's still chained up. And he goes in and then...
he had one of the shackles off, right?
No, not yet. He goes he goes into the shed and then takes the shackles off. Then the guard, another guard, the one who's been watching Enzo and him for all this time, he comes into the shed because he's questioning this whole situation of the American being in the shed. And so he comes in and Hopper at this point has the chains off. Yes. And he's got him in his hands, and he asks him to stand up. Oh. He wants to see his hands. And then Hopper turns around full force and whacks him with these heavy chains in the face. And to me, fight over right there. Like, you're not getting up from that. But he does. And he gets up like nothing happened. And then the two of them have this fight throughout this shed, which is not far from the railroad tracks, and they're making all kinds of noise, and no one hears any of it. That's the very unrealistic part.
Enzo.
Like, they're being thrown against the wall of the shed. The shed is like vibrating. Yes. Nobody notices that this is going on until... And I think Hopper's doing a really good job throughout the fight of trying to prevent the gun from going off the whole time.
Yes.
Like, that's very clear. That's part of his design. But yet, at some point, the trigger gets pulled and it shoots through the roof. And that alerts everybody. Unlike the buyer's neighbors, they all hear this gunshot go off. And so there's a swarm then of guards who are coming over. Meanwhile, Hopper is able to end the fight, wins the fight, and jams the door up. He goes through the roof and then finds himself on a snowmobile. They all get into the shed and blow the thing. And then he's had already lit dynamite. So the entire shed explodes. And then he is off through the explosion, trying to get through the tree line. Another guard sees him. They all say he can't get to the trees. They all start shooting. They're never going to hit him. And he is up and over. And the crowd of inmates rejoice, watching him be insane and escaping the whole crowd. Wild scene. I don't know if I did a really good job depicting all those things, but I tried.
Yeah, you did. It was crazy. The idea that he was able to finally strangle the one guard with the chain at the same, right after he shoots up the ceiling. Those guys still haven't made it to the shed. He still has time to strangle the guard and lock the door.
And light dynamite. Like, there's a lot that went down in about 4 seconds for Hopper.
That's why, I love the scene, but it was hilarious. You just have to believe it. You just have to believe that it happened.
As I'm reading through my notes on it, I'm like, this is dumber and dumber by the moment. Like, this is crazy. The idea that you've got a swarm of prison guards running over to the shed that is not that far away. It is not far from the tracks. They are all running full force.
Hopper seemed to get over there really quickly. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So it's not that far. Okay? And he finishes the fight after the gunfight. After the gun goes off, doesn't kill anybody. He strangles the guy, kills him, blocks the door, and lights dynamite, and then crawls through the roof. He doesn't have nearly enough time to pull that off.
And the guy that he hit with the stick doesn't get up at all. Like, he just
he's
him
out.
once with a stick, and he's down. Meanwhile, the other guy, he's hitting with the chain.
Well,
he's
that's the thing.
strangling him multiple times, and he still keeps getting up like Russian Terminator was in the last season. You know,
if you're going to tell me that the first guy got hit with a stick and got knocked down and he's out, I believe it. Because that's essentially like getting hit in the face with a baseball bat. Like that axe
in the temple,
angle.
you hit him in the right spot.
Whacked him,
he's out.
done.
Yeah.
Next guy gets hit in the same velocity with these heavy iron chains. And he just stands right up. Like, whoa, what are we even doing here? Hopper should have been able to escape right there. Like, genuinely.
And not only that, but the fact that Hopper is so resilient in the scene. I mean, I get it. Your adrenaline is going and your one mission is to escape. But my God, like, he just keeps getting back up because he's getting some pretty heavy blows too. And he just keeps bouncing back himself. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah,
well, this is just one of those things where in my eyes, Hopper has everything to fight for. And the prison guards have nothing to fight for. Like, what?
Well, their life might be on the line, too, if they let an American prisoner escape. I don't know.
I mean, sort of. But, like, they're all on the line for that. Like, that's not your one responsibility. Like, you're all hired to be prison guards here and guard the prison. It's unlikely that your life is over. You might have some really bad things happen to you, but your life probably doesn't end because you let a prisoner go. In fact, a lot of people will be on the line. Meanwhile, Hopper, it is life or death.
Yes, absolutely.
It is, in fact, life or death.
Yeah, now that they know he's trying to escape, I'm sure that they would just kill him immediately, obviously. Because now he's attacked two prison guards. He is trying to make an escape. Oh my goodness. But him escaping out from the roof, like this hatch, and then we have Enzo just saying 100-1, and it's like, yep, I was right. I mean, they set this up, I feel like, as almost being just a hilarious action scene, as we see in a lot of movies where you just can't even believe that it's happening, but it's happening.
I mean, how many times you could take an action sequence from any movie ever and look at it and go, well, that's not real. And it's like, yeah, of course not. But it was still good to watch. Like, this was not realistic. Does that make it a worse scene? No, it makes it great. It was awesome.
And the moment that he's going up the hill, this is what I cracked up, is when he's like going up this crazy steep hill on the snowmobile, and you just have the most insane explosion behind him. It was great. Like, wow, that is just too much.
Awesome.
Like, would it have really gone off like that? Like that? It was just, it was wild. Yeah.
Yes, it would have. I'd like to think so.
Yeah,
well,
but
to continue the story,
he makes it to a church, right?
Well, he does. But in between now and then, we get a little scene where Yuri has checked out the 40,000. It's good. And now he's going to make a call to make sure. He's like, I got to make sure he's not dead. Like, I'm not going to fly all the way over there to get him if he's already dead. So let me go make a phone call. And then Hopper makes it to the town. You go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he makes it to the town. And Eric, all I could think of in this moment was, oh my God, he is barefoot in the snow. His feet must be freezing. That's what I like. How that's where my
well, he definitely can't feel one of them. It's already broken in a million different places. So
yeah, so maybe the snow is good for that. But he busts into this church. He's clearly part of this plan was. Enzo had left a key for him under one of these rocks because he lifts up a rock, finds a key, gets in the church where there are boxes of things like peanut butter. There's a little mattress there. Like, it's clear that someone has used this as their hideout before.
This is easily either a safe house or some sort of storage for the guards or something where they can use this.
There's smuggled goods here because I remember they mentioned before that peanut butter is smuggled in, things that American treats. They zoomed in on a box of Camel cigarettes. I was sure that Hopper was immediately going to find those and start smoking right when he went in. That would have also made sense to me, but instead they had him finding the peanut butter.
He found a box of jeans as well, box of Levi's.
That's right. And and he's all cuddled up in the blankets, having a moment of rest with this peanut butter.
How much do you think Jif paid for that spot?
Oh, right. Yeah. That was a good moment, right?
Like you open it up and it's just all this Jif peanut butter, and they're like, "Oh, this is the thing that I wanted most of all." Like,
choose your moms, choose Jif.
Sure do.
And
I still choose Jif. It's delicious.
We grew up eating Jif. Yeah, it's a good one. I'll eat Skippy though. I go back and forth.
No, I don't. I'm not shifting.
No, you're not
on brand.
Not a Skippy. I do the all natural Skippy. I like to think that it's better for you, but
I figure once you've gone down the route of peanut butter sandwich, you're out of the like healthy regime anyway.
Yeah, I just go straight for the.
I mean, it's not the worst thing, but it's not great.
No, there's a lot of protein in peanut butter.
There's a lot of protein in it that could be very positive, but there's also a bunch of sugar that could be negative.
Yeah, try to get the lower sugar kind, but it's all good. But so yeah, this moment as Hopper is having his one moment of rest, we then find out what a horrible person Yuri is, because you see a phone call coming in to Enzo, and it's Yuri, and he's telling him, hey, there's been a change of plans, because I found out that actually I could make more money from an escaped prisoner, and so I've given him up, and actually I could even make more money on a corrupt prison guard. And Enzo's like, uh-oh, because then you see him looking around the corner, and he's now realizing, yeah, the other guards are now after him. And then you also get this moment where you see Joyce looking down at her coffee cup and feeling very sleepy, because guess what? The coffee that Yuri gave them. Okay, first of all, never drink coffee from someone who you just met. Don't eat the food. I mean, I guess they didn't really have any initial reason to think that he wasn't on their side. They just gave him a whole bunch of money. But
they didn't have any reason to think that he was going to do something bad. But listen, it's a ransom exchange.
Done in
don't
Russia.
expect.
Like, this is okay. This is
they're in Alaska technically.
Okay, you're right. You're right. They're not in Russia. They're in Alaska. But yeah, this is all part of this extremely illegal plan where you're paying ransom for someone, and yeah, this is not good. So.
And now he's also got a couple of Americans who are now out cold that are wanted by the KGB because they are trying to like break these guys out. So he's now turned in essentially Hopper, Enzo, Joyce, and Murray.
Yes. So
and I'm sure Yuri has made a fortune on that.
Yeah, because then you also see Hopper in that church, and he's hearing a lot of noises outside because guess what? They know exactly where he is. Because I'm guessing Enzo had to confess the whole plan, or maybe Yuri knew exactly where he was. I wasn't sure about that. Obviously.
No, Yuri has to know the plan. So Yuri knows where he is.
Yuri need to know where Hopper was? Because is that where?
Well, he's going to fly in and get him.
That's where he was going to fly into. Okay, all right.
I assumed he was going to fly like close to the town, and that so the whole thing was laid out between them. But I'm sure Hopper. Like, if I'm Hopper, right, from my perspective, I think it's Enzo's fault. That's the thing that I'm taking away from this. I think if I'm Hopper, that I think Enzo's double-crossed me. I don't think it's Yuri's fault. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it could be.
I'm interested to see in the next episode, because I think that's going to be a thing that happens.
That he thinks that it's until he sees... That Enzo,
until he's going to see Enzo,
is also Enzo's going to end. Right?
Enzo's going to end up in the prison with him at some point, and that might be a red flag that it's not his fault. But like that would be my initial thought: is that if I'm here, I'm in the safe house, I did everything I'm supposed to, and now all the guards just walked right in. Like, this is on Enzo. Like they've now just stolen money, and I'm still going to be here forever, and this is it.
Yeah, so this sucks. It's like you have this moment of glory thinking, "Oh, it's all coming together." No, it's not. It's all falling apart and it's worse than ever because now what the hell are they going to do? Like how are they going to possibly get out of this, right? So,
well, we will find out in the next one. But we now have to go back, and this is where we're going to get a little different with our breakdown here. We've got the rest of the cast essentially together. We've got Max, Dustin, Lucas. Well, not Lucas yet, but he's about to be there. Steve, Nancy, Robin, all of them. The whole gang is together, all here. And then we're going to break it up. So we're going to do this beginning part with everybody, and then we're going to break off and follow Nancy and Robin first, and then we'll come back and do the Max side of things. Yeah. So Max is, at this point, they ran through the school, and essentially she was like, it was right here. And that she's talking about the grandfather clock that she saw. And so she starts then filling in the gang on what Chrissy had seen and what Fred had seen and what she was reading in their files, and then realizing that she was also feeling these exact same things. And then she's putting the timeline together, knowing that she's probably got less than a day because that's what they had. And then there's a noise outside. So Steve's like, hold on, I'll go check on the noise. And he brings a floor lamp with him, which I find an interesting selection of weapon. Not a smaller table lamp or so. He brings an entire floor lamp. Like he's going to swing it like a hockey stick. And he goes out there, and coming sprinting around the corner, wildly out of breath, is Lucas. So I thought Lucas would get in the car. Nah, he just straight sprinted from the cabin all the way home. I have to have thought he should have just stolen the car. That being said,
he probably didn't have the keys, is all I'm thinking. He was just running through the woods in the other direction. And Eric, oh my gosh, the moment where Steve grabs the flimsy metal lamp and is saying, "Stay here," to the kids, it was like, so
what are you
funny.
doing, Steve?
Like,
come on, man.
This was also a moment that I know is serious, but I was cracking up because it's just like the moment that then Lucas comes from around the corner. Because I knew it was going to be him. He told them to meet up with them at the school. And so you hear these sounds and Steve going, "What's wrong with you, Sinclair? I could have taken you out with this lamp." Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That was good.
And Lucas said, it's me. Yes. And then Lucas is, of course, trying to fill them in on Dustin being in danger because Jason's out of his mind. And and Dustin's like, listen, that's good. I'm glad we'll figure that out. But we've got bigger problems right now. And that's when you kind of like camera pans over to Max. And we, assume at this point that Lucas is being filled in on what's going on with Max. Because we get this one cut to Jason at the Sinclair's house talking to Erica at the door, trying to find Lucas. And it's a very short conversation. It's Erica is always funny when she's in a scene, and she's just basically telling Jason how it is. And you kind of get the idea that Jason might like have Erica in danger for a moment because he's like, you play D&D, right? Like kind of getting into that, maybe but then the way she keeps talking to him, he's like, you know what? This isn't it. Like, let's move on. He goes back to the car.
Yeah, he wasn't letting her close the door. Like this scene.
No, he put his hand on the door
like multiple times. It was like, all right. And
he was getting pretty aggressive, but then he eased up and was like, okay, this isn't it. Like, we got to go somewhere else.
Well, from their conversation, he learns that Lucas, when she says something like, well, Lucas is probably with Dustin because it's like they're boys. And he's like, oh, yeah, we've been tricked here. Like, he knows a lot more than what he's told us he knows. And he is, and Eric, I had to also think to myself, though, I get it. The popular kids, he's, flying high on his popular
horse. Yeah, but wouldn't you think that...
You would think that he knew that they were friends, right?
I mean, that's the one thing in this whole idea that
How did he
Lucas
not know
is
this?
going and finding all of his friends and like stabbing them in the back essentially, and Jason and the other basketball players don't know that he's friends with these people.
It doesn't make
sense.
sense.
I find that really hard to believe. Lucas has obviously been part of this other group for years. So how would they not know that?
The only thing I could think of
maybe he was just so under the radar.
That's what I'm thinking is like, is it because Jason is significantly older and just they're new to high school and so he just wasn't
never
aware.
Paid attention.
Yeah, I mean that's highly possible.
It's plausible.
That he just wasn't paying attention. But you'd think because Lucas had just made this big like cultural shift, he kind of would have known really who his friends were before. I don't know. It just feels unlikely. But here we are. I mean, Hawkins is a small town. It also seemed unlikely that everyone else was behind Angela's back in the last episode where they were all just circling around poor Angela, who was also like the town bully. No one had Eleven's back. That also seemed unlikely.
I that seems very unlikely. But this scene here with Jason and Erica is the only scene that comes from this storyline.
Yeah.
So we then assume Jason is off with the basketball players trying to find Lucas now.
That's right.
And there's no other follow-up to that yet.
Yeah.
So they're on the hunt.
Because he clearly
meanwhile,
knows,
we can't...
Yeah. Going to Lucas, he's going to then find Eddie, is what he's assuming. Yeah.
That's what he's assuming. We then kind of get to the Wheelers' basement where Nancy and the gang are all there and they are reading about Victor Creel. And the funny thing is, I find that all the characters are asking a lot of questions that probably are being asked by the viewers of the show.
Absolutely.
Like, well, how did he get that? How did he get through now? How did he get through then? Why would he do it? Why would he do it now? Why would he do it then? And they're just like throwing all these questions together. And it's like, yeah, like we don't know any of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Who is he? What did he do? Why is this relevant? None of this makes any sense to us at this moment. And so you're just kind of left in this bizarre realm of not really understanding anything at this point. And meanwhile, Max, like a possessed demon herself, is just writing on this desk, just scribbling all these things. And they're like, I don't know, what is she doing over there?
Yeah.
But she is like just going to town, writing stuff.
Yeah. You don't really know yet. But yeah, we have Robin and Nancy showing up in the basement and saying, hey, now we're psych students from the University of Notre Dame. We're Ruth and Rose, and they're planning on using these identities to get access to Victor Creel at the assignment because they're writing their thesis papers on paranoid schizophrenics. And that's the story that they want to go with. And Steve is kind of upset. He's like, where's my identity here? Like, where are my credentials? Because he wants to go with them. And now he realizes, I'm just going to be the babysitter again. Why am I always the babysitter? I think he also wants to be tagging along with Nancy. He feels like he doesn't want her to keep putting herself in the middle of these situations. He wants to be with her. And he feels like he would be more helpful there. But no, it's just going to be Robin and Nancy. He needs to continue on in his role, which
Well, and Steve does not give off the academic scholar vibe, which is very true.
It is.
No matter what sort of clothes you want to put him in, he's not going to look like a scholar.
Sure.
And meanwhile, Robin could, if they dress her up like Nancy. And that's the philosophy that they're going with at this moment.
Right. And then Steve's like, this girl? Because Robin's like overlooking at her, her little music box, her jewelry box. With
oh my God. Robin
like, is she though? Is she giving off those vibes?
Oh, her personality is not, but she could like if you dressed her up fancy, maybe make her look like a scholar. Steve's hair by itself, you'd have to do dramatic stuff to make him look more academic.
And listen, Robin might not be giving off the stereotypical scholar vibes, but the way that she talks, and even though she's not as polished as Nancy would approve of, she actually like she is in the nerdy realm. I mean, she knows a lot more, and she would be able to talk her way, as we will see coming up, out of these situations. Yeah. Well,
and like, to me, I love this Robin just ransacking the room stuff. Like, she's not ripping it apart, but she is just, I've walked into Nancy Wheeler's bedroom and like, you've got a Tom Cruise poster, and then like is going through all the music, like her cassette tapes that she's got, and then like opens the jewelry box. She's like, there's an actual ballerina in here. I think she's just blown away by the stereotypical things that Nancy has in her bedroom that she would never have in her bedroom.
Of Nancy.
The most girly stuff. Yes. Like, it's a poster, but it's not just a poster. It's Tom Cruise, because who else would it be? And it's all the music that she likes, and it's a ballerina in a music box situation. It's so classic.
Yeah.
You know?
It is. It's great. And Nancy is finding also the girliest, most ruffly pastel color.
Oh, it's so bad.
It looked like some like clothes you'd see on like a porcelain doll, like something like very just. I don't even know why Nancy.
Like, I'm surprised Nancy even had that in her closet, to be honest with you.
And I felt like she gave Robin the worst of the two. I'm like it was just.
Oh, for sure.
Oh my God, that shirt was just awful. It was. I've never seen something.
But
so
I think
awfully.
she was genuinely hoping that Robin would just sit behind her and Nancy would do all the talking and get in.
But she's lucky.
And so at this point. Right, and this is where we're going to break. We're going to start following Nancy and Robin here, and we'll come back to Steve and the Babysitter Club in a second. But I will say, it bothers me a little bit that Steve still is like, oh, I've got to watch after these kids, because even Nancy's like, listen, they're not kids. They're not children anymore, okay? You're not babysitting them. Like, they're in high school. You guys are all like together on
Dustin
this,
are
okay?
friends.
Like, get over it.
Yeah, like what is he talking about? Babysitting.
Like, it's fine. You'll be fine.
He just wants to be with Nancy. That's all.
That's what it is. That's what it is. And so we move. And they arrive at the mental hospital. And Robin is still vividly upset about her clothes. As they're walking in, she's like pulling on the neck and like complaining about her bra is poking her and all sorts of stuff.
Sure it is.
But
80s bra, not good.
They do get this meeting. They do get this meeting. And in this meeting with this gentleman who is the head, did you get the name of the guy? I didn't.
I didn't write it down, but he is the head of the asylum, is just how the director, and he's telling them that, listen, there is a strict screening process to be able to meet up with Victor Creel. You can't just like roll in here and say you have a term paper that you're writing and get to meet with him. And Nancy just is taking the apologetic approach and is saying, we're so sorry, going for the sympathy. Robin can tell right away, listen, this is not going to work. We need to take a different approach. And so she is just being straight up with him about saying, listen, I am uncomfortable. I put on this outfit to meet with you, and I was at summer camp with Petey McHugh and the other kids wanting to be, they wanted to be rock stars and star athletes. And you know what I wanted? I wanted to be you. That was my dream. And I'm wearing this outfit to impress you. And I'm just so fascinated by your mind. So she was taking the approach of extraordinary amounts of flattery.
No, by Victor Creel's mind.
Oh, I thought it was of the director's mind too, because she wanted to be someone him growing up.
Because she did want to be like him because he had access to Victor Creel, and she wanted to be able to study people's minds like that because there was a horror story that was told at the camp, and everybody was scared, and they wanted to do all these other things.
But I thought she was also complimenting
she wanted to be him.
His fascinating mind.
Oh, she. I don't think it was his mind, but she was complimenting him for sure. because she wanted to be him.
Okay.
But then the idea is that we have applied and we got rejected.
Yes.
And the only reason we got rejected is because we're women. And don't tell me that Petey McCune, even though he was terrified back in the day, wouldn't have got in without any problems, and like just goes off on this feminist rampage, which is awesome.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, and he's watching her and he's like, well, she's actually very passionate about this, and okay, you know what? I'm gonna go with it. I'm going to give these women a chance here, and he's feeling generous, so he goes along with their demands. And we're showing them walking along outside. He's kind of giving them a little tour, and he's telling them that everyone gets a couple hours outside each day. They're asking, like, did they try to escape? But he's like, oh no, they're all pretty happy. They all look pretty sedated.
This scene walking through gave me Ace Ventura vibes.
Oh my God. Yes. Yes. So true. It was exactly like that. Yeah. Also, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Kind of reminded me of Shutter Island too, like the scenes outside. Oh, Eric, though. Yeah. While we're on this, I know that I have a few other points that I'll bring up at the end of the episode, but one of these was about the outside of the mental hospital. Did you know? So I know how much you like the show Psych. There was a trivia point that was made, which I guess there was an episode. It's season 6, episode 6, called Sean Interrupted, where they use the same exact building as the outside. Like, they use the same building where apparently, I didn't know that show really well, but was he put in a mental hospital at one point? If you remember, I know it's been a long time probably since you've seen the show.
It has been a while since I've seen it. I do recall there being an episode where he was connected to a mental hospital. Yeah. Sean Interrupted.
So, and the other,
he might have been. He might have been like pretending to be very, very much in the same vein of Ace Ventura, where he was like trying to get access into this place by pretending to be insane, and like Gus probably had him committed. Like, that feels like something that show would do. Yeah. Which is also, it was a good show. We should do that next.
Which is also what Shutter Island is also about, although there is a massive plot twist. We won't get into that here. But but so that episode, I guess it's sort of a triple cross, is because that, well, not triple cross, but either way, Sean Interrupted was the name of that episode of Psych, which we have the same building used in. But that title also leads us back to Winona Ryder, who was in Girl Interrupted, that movie from the early aughts. So it's all kind of connected. But anyway, just had to point that out there. But they're wanting to not only get a tour and see Victor Creel, but they want to interview him alone. And at first he's like, listen, this is impossible. I need to be there for this, but they convince him. I mean, Robin is extremely,
well, but she does raise a red flag.
She drops the wrong
because
name.
Part of the information they gave him was this letter from a professor that was recommending that they have this opportunity. And then when she references the professor, she uses the wrong name. And he's like, I don't know that professor. And Nancy steps in and tries to correct the whole situation. But this has raised a red flag. And he's like, you know what? Go ahead. Like, you've put me in a rebellious mood. I'll give you a few minutes. Go for it. And then tells the guard, like, hey, keep an eye on them.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
and he says,
what he's doing. I
have something to do.
He's looking into this.
Yeah. He's like, I have something to do anyway. And it's like, yeah, I wonder what he's going to be doing. He's making some phone calls. So,
yep.
But they have enough time where they're going in and they see Victor. And at first he's like, listen, I told him I don't talk to reporters. But Nancy, this is where Nancy really is stepping in and really speaking with Victor in a way that he's responding to. And she's saying, we're here because we believe you. We think whatever killed your family is back. And initially, he's really not wanting to talk to them, but she does make that connection. And, you know, she's trying to find out is what is happening here the same as what happened to your family, and we need to know how you survived that night. And then we get this great flashback into Victor's life, where then, Eric, I was realizing, that moment where we were in Chrissy's mind, where she was having the horrible flashback or the horrible visions of her father with his eyes sewn shut, and her mother was that was actually Victor's house, because you see that same stained glass door and you see the same winding staircase. At that moment with Chrissy's vision, I had thought that it was actually like her childhood home, but it wasn't.
Well, I think she came around a corner looking for her dad, and you see Victor kind of turn around.
Exactly.
And we don't know that it's.
Yeah.
There's no way to know that. You don't know that it's not her dad in that instance, right. And you don't know that it's not Victor in that instance either. You only get that now.
Yeah, because now we learn that Victor had done that to his own eyes. But yeah, this is just this really intense scene where Victor is trying to tell the kids, to Nancy and Robin, about what he experienced, and that his son Henry was a really sensitive child, and he could always tell that something was wrong. It sounded like they had 1 month of peace, but then everything started to go bad. There were just dead animals found outside of their home, and he could tell there was the spawn of Satan that had possessed their home, and that there was a demon in their neighborhood. His wife was having all sorts of visions. You see spiders coming out from the bathtub, and they were just having these waking nightmares, which sounds exactly like what everyone is now experiencing again in Hawkins. And he had just been convinced that everything was cursed, because one night the lights started flashing. He mentions here, which is an important moment, where he thought that he had heard an angel speaking to him, but really he pointed to the music and realized it was the music that was playing that was kind of breaking through his subconscious. And that also kind of goes back to a moment where the director of the asylum had also made mention of the music, and how that was like the one thing that seemed to keep a lot of the patients sane there, that it connected with you on some level that broke through whatever this evil was trying to do to them. And so they're kind of taking that information as they're walking through the scene with him. But yeah, we see Victor's wife just gets thrown to the ceiling in the same way that we saw happen to both Chrissy and Fred, and all of her limbs are snapped in the same way. And then Victor is transported himself into this flashback of when he was in a war in France, and he just had this horrific moment where I guess he had made a call to blast out this one home that he thought had been the enemy, but really it was an innocent family, and he witnessed a baby being burned alive and just really terrible things. And what we're seeing is this common thread between all of these moments where Vecna is possessing them, are all of these people have these nightmares, these regrets, these like intense feelings of shame that he's pulling from them. Traumatic moments, right? And it's just, he's hanging on to them in the same way that if anyone, listening has seen all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, like that is what Freddy Krueger does. And then the irony, of course, well, not the irony, but just the connection here is that who plays Victor Creel here, but Robert Englund, who played Freddy Krueger. So there's that great connection. I love that they got him to play Victor. But yeah, it's it was just, So Nancy and Robin are listening to this whole story, and really the takeaway from this is that music connection, right? Because just as he's finishing telling the story, the director of the asylum is coming back in saying, yeah, I made a phone call and the police are now on their way, so we need to leave.
And Victor doesn't recognize that it's the music. He refers to it as an angel.
Right.
But he does specifically mention that the radio was playing. And when he is done with this whole flashback, he kind of just curls up and starts humming the song that was on the radio. And so as they've been discovered now, as Robin and Nancy have been discovered as frauds, they start walking them out, and there's the music playing outside, which you referenced. And Robin starts putting it all together like, hey, listen, the music is here. The angel that he thought he heard, he started humming that song. And they were like, yeah, Ella Fitzgerald. Like, they recognized the song immediately. And he referenced, of all things, that the radio was being played. And so maybe it's something to do with music that can help. And then they realize they're walking us out, but they're all just kind of like walking with us. Like, nobody's really holding us. Like, they're taking us to the police, but we can just run. Like, let's just run. I think we could beat them. Because none of these guys are all old and out of shape and whatever. And they're, like, yeah, okay, ready? Like 3, 2, 1, boom, and they're gone. And they just start running through the plates, and no one can catch them. And it's like, there you go.
Even though Robin's self-admittedly, she's like, I'm a horrible and awkward runner. Like, I'm not going to make it. And Nancy's like, yeah, you are pretty bad. But they make it. They make it.
You're going to make it just fine.
Eric, in this moment, I always think where the guy then appears at the window trying to stop them, the one security guard, as they're getting in the car. I'm like, why isn't he standing in front of the car? Like, you'd think he would have, like, tried to stand in front of the car, but I guess he really doesn't care that much.
If he stood in front of the car, Nancy was just going to drive over him anyway. She was just going to push him out of the way with the car.
Yeah.
So did not matter. But at this point,
they're off.
Let's jump back now.
Yes.
To the Max and the gang and the babysitter club side of this story. So Max is feeling all the boys down in the basement of the Wheelers staring at her.
Yes.
While Steve has now been deemed the babysitter of the group. And she asks them to stop, and then she turns around and she starts handing out letters. So all this panic writing that she's been doing over on the desk is writing letter after letter after letter after letter. And she says, this is a fail-safe in case things don't work out. So they go to the car, and she wants to be able to drive to certain area.
Steve wants
She doesn't mention where it is.
Yeah, Steve wants them to just stay in the house. And Lucas is kind of like, well, what do you mean fail safe? Like, things are going to be fine. And she's like, listen, no, whenever anyone has said that to me in my life, it's never fine.
Doesn't work out.
Things never work out. And to her point, I mean, she's had a rough life and just keeps experiencing loss after loss after loss. She's like, I'm not going to spend my final day in the armpit that is Mike Wheeler's basement. So I'm out of here. And Steve is trying to convince her to stay. But at the end of I think she like threatens him with a lawsuit because he is now imprisoning her if he doesn't let her leave. So he agrees. You know what? Fine. Let's go to the east side of Hawkins is where she wants to go.
The east side of Hawkins is all it said. But we don't get a specific on what is on the east side of Hawkins. We just want to make sure that the radio can reach. And range. So Dustin's like, yeah, no problem. It'll reach. So they get in the car, and as they're getting in the car, Max hears the clock. Doesn't see it, just hears it go. And so then they all get into the car, and they end up driving back to the trailer park. And she goes into the mobile home and starts just leaving letters. She leaves one for, her dad and for other, like grandma. And there was a third one. And then she leaves one for her mom as well. And then she sees her mom outside. So she goes to talk to her. And the mom, obviously, is worried about what Max is saying because she's left letters in the house, and she's like, just got me thinking about what if something happens to me. And the mom is obviously worried about this, as any mom would be, I would imagine, because now your child is leaving letters just in case something happens. What do you know?
Right.
Why would you do this? And they hug, and as they hug, the clouds roll in, and Mom turns into Vecna. And we get the, like, you've broken everything line here, where Vecna's telling Max that all of this is largely her fault, and there's all these things that are happening. And then they kind of just snap out of this, really.
Yeah.
Like, it just kind of, it's like a warning, but yet then it's over.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden Max is left in the backyard. Mom's not there. No one else is around. And it makes me wonder if she ever had a conversation with Mom.
I was wondering that too, because she even said to her, like, what are you doing here? And she said, oh, my boss let me out early. So I think that her mom wasn't there, and that.
I agree.
Yeah. And that
I think this was a manifestation the whole time.
Just awful. Yeah. And
because Mom also, from everything that we see, is not that person.
No.
Mom has been like, drunk on the couch and not doing laundry.
No.
Like Max is doing the laundry.
Yep. Max is doing
and she's
everything.
working 2 jobs, and then mom's barely around.
Yeah.
So this was definitely, to me, Vecna creating a vision for Max,
so.
And then they break away, and then she kind of gets back in the car, and Steve's like, hey, that was longer than 20 seconds. Like, he feels like something was wrong, because she was just going to go in, leave the letters, and walk back out. But that's not what happened.
They did make a point of, because Lucas saw her mom too. Because Lucas said something like, oh, I saw you talking to your mom outside. So I was wondering, it's not just a vision that Max had.
Did he see that, or did she say that?
No, he said, I saw your mom outside. And so I'm thinking, would they all be able to see her mom if it was Vecna? And maybe it's possible, and that only Max would experience then what then happened, as far as the nightmare was concerned. But yeah, he did say that.
Maybe.
So, and I had that thought. I'm like, so does that mean she was really there? Because I interpreted it the same way that she wasn't actually present. But yeah, that did leave me with some question marks.
Max gets Steve to drive then to the cemetery, and you realize, oh, the east side is where the cemetery is. She's going to, leave a letter for Billy or something along those lines. She wants to go talk to Billy.
Yes.
So she, where am I in my note? Oh, here we are. So Lucas then jumps out of the car as they're all waiting there. She says, hey, give me 2 minutes. And Max goes up to the tombstone, and on her way there, Lucas stops and is like, listen, I don't want a letter. I don't want this letter.
Yeah.
I'm right here. Talk to me. I'm right here. Like, we can have a conversation. I just want you to talk to me. And Max is kind of on her own little mission right now and isn't really hearing that conversation. So she just kind of tells Lucas, like, hey, just wait in the car. I'll be right back. Goes up to the tombstone, and this is where then she basically reads out her letter to Billy, which on the whole reads as I wish we could try again. I would have loved to have become friends and act like a real brother and sister. I think we could have done that. And then the clouds roll in over the top, and Billy arrives out of the shadows. And Billy starts having this conversation about how you don't really mean that. you wanted me to die. You would have stepped forward if you actually meant if you actually meant it. You would have done something in the mall instead of stopped and just stared and watched me get killed. You would have actually tried. You didn't try. Like, this is what you wanted. Admit it.
Yeah.
And Max is unwilling to admit it. She's crying. She's, trying to basically plead with Billy that this is not the case.
Yeah. And,
as this is ending, her conversation with Billy, Steve back in the car is like, listen, this has been way more than 2 minutes. I'm calling it. Let's go. And he goes up to try and get Max, and she is eyes rolled back, full trance, just not present. And he starts trying to wake her up, and she's not. And all of a sudden, we get
Lucas and Dustin.
Billy turned into Vecna.
Yeah.
And so we now are going to go back and forth here between Max's reality and the boys on the other side, where Max sees Vecna coming and starts running and trying to hide from Vecna. And Dustin and Lucas are trying to wake her up. And then Dustin ends up running back to the car, and he's on the radio trying to get in touch with Nancy and Robin, hoping that they have found some sort of answers. And you go back, Max is in Vecna's, mind, or in her own mind in Vecna's space. And she is screaming for Dustin and Lucas, Steve, she's calling out all of them, trying to find them. And Dustin is scrambling then because he's finally gotten some word from Robin, as Robin has now cut. We didn't see the conversation, but we see what we talked about earlier, Nancy and Robin figuring out this music situation, and Dustin is now getting that information. So he's trying to find the headset and trying to find music, and he is running up the hill towards the tombstone.
Running up that hill.
He is. And Lucas, what's her favorite song? And he's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, just tell me your favorite song.
There's no time. Yeah.
And so now we got Max kind of in this reddish zone area, which we can start to recognize as this house that keeps showing up. And we see the clock kind of fly by in the air. And there's the rose door. And there's these spiral stairs. And spiders are coming out. And
it's like what's left of the Creel house.
Right. And Vecna is asking, what are you doing in here? And she finds Chrissy wrapped up on this vine structure. And she finds Fred wrapped up on this vine structure. And then flashback, they've got the headset on and the music is playing. It's Run Up That Hill by Kate Bush, as we all know. And she then sees this vision of her friends open up out of nowhere. She could see what's happening in Hawkins, where she is in this trance. All her friends are around her trying to yell for her. And this is when, as she starts to move towards it, this vine comes up and snatches her and pulls her up onto her own vine structure and kind of wraps her around the neck and the hands. And she's, trapped up here. Yeah. And Vecna comes up to her and he's like, it's your time, and puts his hand over her face. And she is just keeping her eyes closed. She's listening to the music and she is flashbacking through all of her friends. Meanwhile, the boys are seeing her levitate up into the sky, just like Chrissy, just like Fred, just like, Victor Creel's wife. And she's going up and she's going up and she is flashbacking. And I'm seeing moments of her with 11 doing the dress sequences at the mall, and she's having her first kiss with Lucas, and she is skating around Mike as the zoomer of the group, and she's doing all these different things that we have seen Max do throughout the series. And
happy moment.
All of a sudden, her eyes just kind of like pop open. She's able to get a hand loose, rips at Vecna's throat, and drops down from this thing. And she starts running and just sprinting. And Vecna starts like moving things, but he's not chasing her. He's watching her run. And these items and rocks and things are falling behind her as she is sprinting towards this exit. And she is able to get through, and she drops from the sky and falls into the boys, who are all then hugging her. And she's like, I'm here. I'm okay. I'm here. I'm here. And this is as our show ends, as this.
Yeah. It was a great end of the episode with Max. I really, really liked that. I really loved that pull between the light and the dark, and she's having to almost make that choice, like which one is drawing her in more. Is it this connection, this guilt, this like trauma of what's happened to Billy? Because she was even saying the whole reason why she hasn't wanted to talk about this with the friends is because she feels like she should have done something else in that moment with Billy. What if she had gone to him and ripped him away? What if she had stood in front of him and sacrificed herself? Like, this is just that survivor's guilt, right? And And while Vecna is trying to draw that evil, that darkness out and bring her toward him, because that's the path that he's chosen, we will learn, or instead, does she want to go toward the light, listen to the music, hold on to all of those joyful memories, all of the good things that have happened, all of the things that connect us to our worldly, earthly existence as we know it. Because that's also what we saw Billy kind of, that's what gave him the ability to pull free enough to then attack the mind flayer, right? Like he was able to, 11 was able to kind of remind him of those moments by telling him of the times at the beach and, you know, how beautiful his mother was and all of the happy moments. He held on to that just enough to pull him out of it and defeat the darkness. So it's always kind of, it reminds me of Star Wars a little bit. It's like the light versus the dark, you know, and yeah, Max here, I think what also helped her was, you know, to me, I know even personally, writing things down can be really therapeutic. Writing things down can be this like release of just emotions and just kind of, you know, it helps you work through things. So I feel like her writing these letters and having that inclination to do that and actually then reading that letter out loud to Billy probably was able to allow her to kind of release some of that negativity as well. And so when Billy appeared before her, well, it was really Vecna, right? Using Billy's appearance to talk to her, tried to pull her back into the darkness, but she was able to kind of to hang on to all of that. Plus the music, it was enough. It was enough to at least in that moment keep her alive, which, you know, when we look at Chrissy and Fred, they didn't have that. In that moment, they didn't have something trying to keep them alive in the same way. And so we have Max is very fortunate here and she was able to hang on.
Well, now we're going to jump into our IMDb ratings segment of this podcast where we talk about our ratings as we stack them up against yours as found on IMDb. We're also going to talk about our favorite and least favorite characters from this episode. Amanda, you know what? On Friends, I went first, so I'm going to put it in your ballpark first here. Do you want to do your favorite character or your least favorite character? Who you got?
So, you know, it was actually, these were tough picks for me, especially for the favorite, because I feel like a lot of people did a lot of really great things. in
Yes,
this episode.
I agree.
I struggled.
Last week it was harder to find a favorite.
Yeah.
This week it's hard to pick a favorite of all the good things that happened, and it was much harder to find a least favorite.
Yeah, because I agree, because really I feel like everyone did a great job. I really couldn't think of a character where it's like, wow, they truly failed in the storyline. I think that everyone was doing their own part. That being said, I love this episode, but it's a very, very dark episode. There's a lot of just, these scenes with Vecna. It was really sad, watching Max being put through all of this mental anguish. I went with Steve as my favorite character because I felt like he added this comic relief that I really enjoy with Stranger Things, is that you have these really serious moments, but then you have these moments of levity and like just these just funny lines. And so in an otherwise extremely dark episode, I just really appreciated him with like the lamp, and then him just, really wanting to be with Nancy and Robin, but also taking on that role and doing such a great job of leading. They are the younger kids. They're all kids really still, but he is there leading them along, and I think doing a great job of keeping them together, noticing that Max is up on the hill and being like, she's been up there for a while. I'm going to go check on her, because if he didn't act in that moment, it probably would have been too late. And Dustin also was also right there. And Dustin was on my short list too, because it's like he was the one who then, grabbed the music, gave Max the music, was able to sync up with her. But also that was because Robin made that connection. So Robin also was a huge part in this. So they really all good things. But I just liked the moment. Steve had some great lines. So I went with Steve here.
Okay. I agree with you that Dustin was on the short list of like great characters and things he did. Robin obviously on the short list of great things that happened. I would even throw Lucas on the short list of really good things, trying to be that person for Max as much as possible. Steve to me ends up being my least favorite character of the episode. And it's funny. Not really because of I love what you said, where he went up there, and if he had not gone up there, it might have been too late. You're not wrong. But it's the scene where he's like, I'm always the babysitter. Like, I still got to get stuck being the babysitter. That to me, Steve, that's the only thing genuinely in an episode that I really like cover to cover. Yeah. There are very few moments where I'm like, ugh, what are you doing? And that to me stood out. So Steve ends up being my least favorite character. But I will say, unlike last episode and the one before it, genuinely, this episode felt like, well, they all are great. All of them. And so which one do I like the least? And I think it's Steve. Like, I even really, because I always seem to be finding a way to make Mike my least favorite character. Yeah. But Mike finally had that redemption moment where he was very apologetic to Will. And that shootout scene at the Byers' house was awesome. And so
such a good scene. Yeah.
He's not going to be that guy today. So Steve will be my least favorite character. But I will give you my favorite character. And again, I'm actually going to go back to back here, and I'm going to go Max.
That was good. Yeah.
There's no way to not like Max in this episode. I think she is a sympathetic character. She is a character that is also an independent, like, action-taking character. She is the one who gets herself out of the issue that she's got into with Vecna here. She's also one that you feel bad for along the way. There's just so much going on with Max.
She's great. Yeah.
It's just a home run, no matter how you want to view her character, I think. And again,
this is the Max season. Yeah, this is
it really
the
is
Eddie season. It's really the Max season. Yeah,
it really is. And this episode specifically is like Max's home run moment, I feel like. And there will be other great moments for Max, don't get me wrong, but this is such a huge day for Max because she genuinely fights off Vecna. And that is not something that many people can say. So, I give this one to Max. You gave us your favorite as Steve. Who was your least favorite?
I went with Yuri as my least favorite character.
Okay. Not going to lie.
Honestly.
I thought about it.
This
really
guy
did
has
think
completely
about
destroyed their plan. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I will say that I didn't pick Yuri because I feel like I often pick the least favorite character being someone who's not from the group.
Right. Yeah, and that's fair.
The statistics show that. So
Yeah.
I wanted to try and pick someone from the group.
Yeah.
Especially now that the group has gotten bigger, but you are not wrong. Yuri is the most dislikable character in this episode.
My God. Yeah, he just completely double-crossed them. You know, he is now getting money for the capture of the Americans, the capture of Hopper, and the capture of the security guard. So he is just bad news. I don't know why they ever thought that they could trust this guy, but I guess he was the only one that they had the option of trying to trust.
You don't have a lot of options when you're in this area.
This is bad. Yeah, this is bad.
Well,
so I'm very excited to see exactly how they wind their way out of this because I don't remember all those details. I'm gonna be honest there, not recalling.
When it comes to the ratings, I want to say this. I've obviously spoken very highly about this episode. I'm gone back through. I'm looking at it right now. I've given 6 episodes a rating of a 9 or better. This will be the 7th. Okay. The highest rating I've given an episode so far is a 9.2, which was the season finale of season 2. I am going to give this one a 9.3 and say it's my favorite episode so far. Cover to cover, all stories. And to know that this was an episode in season 4 that didn't have 11 or Eddie is kind of crazy, but it's my favorite one.
Yeah, I was just looking through my own ratings too, to see, because I did not. Funny enough, Eric, I also
you've also given 6. Oh, what? Go ahead.
Well, no, I was just gonna say I also give this one a 9.3.
How about
and it
that?
looks like I have done that one other time, and that was on the season finale of season 2, the Mind Flayer.
Oh, yes. That's actually not the season finale of that one. That one went to 9. It was the one before that. But
that's right. Yeah. The Mind Flayer.
You did give a 9.5 to the finale of the first season. So this is not your highest rated episode.
No.
But it is very close.
Yeah. So this is ties for the Mind Flayer second to last episode of season 2. But yes, I gave that the season finale of episode 1 a 9.5. So but yeah, this is way up there for me, also a 9.3. I mean, it was such a great episode. There really wasn't a moment that could have been cut out, right? It's like this was pure action.
I don't want to I'm not going to spend too much time beleaguering this. Season 2, episodes 8 and 9 are the only times that you, me, and the crowd all went for 9s or better. This is the third. I gave it a 9.3. You gave it a 9.3. The IMDb audience has given this a 9.5, which is their highest rated episode too. So this is so high on the list. I mean, it's a great episode.
Wow. 9.5 is the average on IMDb is wow. That's it's well deserved, but that's wild.
It is well deserved.
Yeah.
I mean, it means that everybody gave it a 10 except for a handful of people that gave it like a 9, and there's somebody out there that gave it a 1 just because they hate Stranger Things. But like, 9.5 is nuts to get to as an average.
Yeah, there's been several 9.3s on IMDb.
Yep.
So I mean, this show gets a lot of high ratings from the fans, but wow, 9.5 is great.
It is. Yeah. But it's their highest rating ever. It's my highest rating ever. It is tied for your second highest rated episode. So, yeah. And you know what, to be honest with you, I was a little concerned because I was looking, before we did the podcast is when I put my rating down. And I was trying to figure out, like, is this better than a season finale like season 2? Was this better than that? And I'm thinking back to that season finale and I'm like, yeah, this was action packed. And this is kind of why I just love season 4. There's so many great episodes all the way throughout. And these episodes, like we said, from here on out, they're all pretty long episodes. And so they feel like miniature movies. And therefore, I think my ratings are just going to end up being higher because I love all of them.
And because this was such a beloved episode too. So Eric, this episode, which really, I mean, Kate Bush's song Running Up That Hill was in the season before, but because of this episode really, which featured it at length, it was
not in the season. Oh, you're talking about it was in a previous episode of this season.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, with Max. With Max.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think it was first shown with 11, though, walking down the hall. And then later on, you saw Max was listening to it on her headphones. Yeah. And it reached number 1 on the UK official singles chart, number 1 on the Billboard Global 200 chart, number 1 on the Billboard Alternative Digital Song Sales, and peaked at number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart for the first time since its release in 1985. It had only peaked at number 30 in 1985. So when it came out, it wasn't as popular as after Stranger Things. Wild. So
I mean, that speaks to how popular Stranger Things was. I mean, just the reach
now that shows have in a way that you just don't have the ability to reach the audiences in the same way in the 80s, right? Like the way that you can just reach a global audience now is just it's just a completely different scene. And so it also reached number 1 on both Spotify and the charts in the UK and the US after earning 57 million streams in just 1 week. So now, because of all this, Bush holds 3 Guinness Book World Records, the oldest female artist to reach number 1, the longest time taken for a single to reach number 1 on the UK's official singles chart, and with it being 37 years since the single was first released and the longest gap between the number 1s. Like it's crazy.
I'll tell you this much. I grew up in the 80s and 90s. I don't think I've heard this song until Stranger Things.
Yeah.
I don't remember hearing it ever growing up. And so that's just one of those things. But I will say, I also think this speaks to, if this had been in season 1, I don't think it would have been quite as impactful. Stranger Things, for me, I remember watching season 1 and 2 and 3 of Stranger Things right before the release of season 4. Like I wasn't part of it all the way through organically.
Okay.
I didn't catch it until season 4 started. Okay. And then I went back and we watched it all the way through season 4. And then we were just waiting on season 5 to come out.
Yep.
But like, I think Stranger Things fan base was much bigger by season 4 than it was at season 1 and 2 and 3.
I mean, there was a lot of catching.
I think there were a lot of buzz about it. A lot of people talking.
a lot of people catching up on streaming with the pandemic too. I think that it was really big when it came out for sure. But then there was there were gaps between the seasons, which we've talked about. So it was very different in that way as well. And actually one of the things that, Eric, I know I mentioned to you before we started recording, but something that I found out was that the scene with Billy, due to the pandemic, Billy actually shot his scene over a Zoom call with Sean Levy, the director, because he was still in Western Australia, his hometown, and he just wasn't traveling due to COVID.
I mean,
so it's
tells you what they can do with CGI right there.
Yeah,
like they basically got his face and had him read the lines via Zoom, and then like we're able to CGI his entire presence together. But yeah, I mean, worked out great.
This episode also won 2 Emmy Awards for outstanding prosthetic makeup and outstanding music supervision. So I mean, this episode just really
there you go.
It defined Stranger Things. I feel like in a different way.
I think so too.
Yeah, very cool.
And we're like all these things are referencing like the Max part of this story, but the California Boys side, the Hopper side, the Nancy and Robin in the Insane Asylum, these were all awesome stretches. There were no down moments. This was a winner across the board.
Yeah, the Robert England.
I feel like I should raise my rating to like a 10.
Honestly,
I didn't. I made it my highest rated, but I feel like I should have gone higher.
It was so.
Maybe at the end we'll go back and adjust if we feel like we need to adjust.
No adjusting. Hold true. Yeah.
No adjusting. Okay. Well, thank you so much for listening to the We Run on Reruns podcast. Please check out our socials on Instagram and YouTube. Subscribe, follow, like, share, all that fun stuff. You can also find all of our podcasts in full at our website, werunonreruns.com. Not to mention finding them on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. If you could leave a 5-star rating on those episodes, that would be great. That would help us out so much. Thank you. For Amanda, this is Eric. Enjoy watching episode 5 of season 4 of Stranger Things, The Nina Project, for next week. Happy rerunning, everybody.
See you later, guys.